Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK, sponsored by Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motors studio, here's Steve Jones.
Play action fake. Back he goes. Great protection. Now steps up. Looks. Delivers downfield for Lambert Smith. He's got him at the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Penn State. The 2023 season starts with a bang. Down to 4. Waits. Takes the snap. Back he goes. Blitz picked up. Now rolls right. Looks. Delivers downfield. Lambert Smith, 25. Lambert Smith, far sideline, 20. 15 and a first down for the Nittany Lions at the 15-yard line. Allar under center. From the 2. Attacking the end zone to our left. Turns. Singleton, right side. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions cap an 81-yard drive and retake the lead. Allar, play action fake. In the pocket, throws in the end zone, open Lambert Smith, touchdown, Penn State! 56-yard drive, and the Nittany Lions have that all-important 2-score lead. Put down, kick is up, the kick by Felkins is good, and the Nittany Lions lead at 24-7. Alex Felkins, who last year was 11-16 in field goals at Columbia in the Ivy League, knocks that one home, and it's 24-7. Takes the snap, back he goes, throws, he's got McClain 20, 15 to the 10, McClain swings it near corner, 5, touchdown, Penn State, Malik McClain with his first Penn State career touchdown, the 7th overall of his career, makes his mark at Penn State. Down to 4 in the play clock, takes it, he'll keep it himself to the 5, hit to the goal line, touchdown, Penn State! And it'll be Green to the 40, over the 40, and taken down, and that does it. The Nittany Lions win the opener. 110,747 watch the Nittany Lions beat West Virginia 38-15. Well, there you go. There's the opener for the season as Penn State won it by a score of 38-15. And as we get into the show today, we'll get to some points about it. But first, let's get to, obviously, a world where circling a fogged-in airport is a norm, and that's Matt's world.
Well, I'm going to go straight to postgame when you had Neal Brown, I guess, asked about the end of the game and how that all played out with Penn State calling timeouts, but they also called timeouts too. And
Penn State did not call any timeouts in the last drive.
Well, there was a question,
unless they lined up wrong and whatever and called the timeout. But no, Penn State just had their twos in there and played.
Well, in any event, he was asked about the end of the way Penn State handled the game afterwards when Pribula scored that late touchdown, and he said something to the effect of "What goes around comes around." I'm sorry, you also called timeout in the final 2 minutes. I'll give you a hint: stop him. You were in the game.
He called all three. Now, I would like to point out, in fairness to him, right, and this is where the media gets very, very simple. Certain segments of it gets very simple. His original answer was very like, whatever, and then he kept getting pressed on it, right? Then he came up with that answer, okay? And my understanding was his original answer was like, okay, well, whatever, we just got to stop it, and then he kept getting pressed on it. But they went for an onside kick. I think it's really stupid. I'm wasting my time talking about this, but I'll waste my time if it makes everybody happy, because to me it's a total waste of time. All right. They score. They go for a 2-point conversion. Now, why do they do that? Because they're trying to win the game. Okay. So then what do? They kick an onside kick, which is exactly what all of us would have done. Why? You're trying to figure out a way, can I get another possession? Maybe I can win the game. So the onside kick goes out of bounds. Well, then I start calling I have 3 timeouts left. I use all 3. Why? I'm still trying to get the ball back with the thought I can still win the game. Well, if one side can do everything it can to try and come back and win the game, the other side with its 2s in there can do everything it can to put the game away. We're done. I'm done wasting my time. It is a total waste of time to talk about that. Total. Simple as that. Like, who cares? Here's the bottom line. The bottom line in the game is Penn State had 10 possessions in the game, right? And scored on 6 of them, right? And missed field goals on 2 others. They weren't stopping Penn State no matter what they did. Meanwhile, they had 11 possessions in the game. Penn State had 9 stops. See, that's the big part to me is the stop rate, and it's something I keep on my chart. What the stop rate is, first half, second half, and total game is the stop rate. Because to me, that's the ball game right there. Drives where the other team gets points, and that's really important. To me, that's really important. All right, now we'll answer these. I got sent so many emails today. I know we'll get to your other complaints in a moment, okay? Because you have a lot.
It was a long weekend, but that's fine. We'll get to that a little later.
Okay. Let's at least answer the questions. Please get Steve to read my email from George. I guess the official Penn State football radio listing is incorrect. I don't know what the radio listing is. Let me look at it to see what this week's is. Where is it? Game notes. On the game notes. The Sirius XM number is correct. No, the local one's correct. It's on 99.5. No, it's listed correctly. It's 99.5 FM here in State College, so that's correct. Now, I don't know if it's on 107 or 1450. That I don't know, but I know that 99.5 is correct. There was zero communication about the change. Well, what happened was in the State College market, a new group bought the existing stations, and so they decided to put the games on whatever station they picked as the affiliate. Now, how they advertise it, I can't tell you. Went up and down the FM dial looking for the game 5 times, found nothing. Well, George, try 99.5 next time if you're here in State College. If not, then obviously listen to Eagle 107 when you're home. Sony AM FM radio has always been bad on FM reception in Beaver Stadium as well as many other away stadiums. Okay, I understand that. Hope this isn't the final answer. I miss Steve and Jack so much on Saturday, just like a friend to me. George, you're a friend to us. We appreciate what you're saying, and this has been a conversation here in State College today because I brought it up. It also was a conversation from the network level as well, okay? So it's not as if it's not an issue. It has been brought up. With the app, there's always potential battery problems. You are correct about that. So 98.7 is not. Matt, I know Matt sent you a reply saying 98.7 is the new home in State College. It is not. Okay, 99.5 is the home. So just so you know, Matt, next time you answer that one, that's the answer. Okay?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
My fault there.
No, 98.7. There's a new sports station here in town. They wanted to pick up the show.
Yes.
Which is okay, but they don't carry the games. They don't have the rights to it. Seven Mountains Media has the rights to it, and they put it on 99.5, I think 103.7 and 1450, I think. Okay, but 99.5 definitely. Okay, that's one. Okay, then there was this one from Denny, same thing.
For many years, I've enjoyed listening to you and Jack while I was attending a football game on Saturday. I could not find you on my radio dial. What channel are you on? And again, in the stadium, it's 99.5 FM. Okay. So I hope that helps. You try to answer as many of these as you can. And then I got one from the network. I had to send them a reply. So it's like, okay. Yeah. Just so everybody knows, I have nothing to do with this at all. But I know people look at you as the point person, and thus you're the one expected to have the answers. So I do understand that because you don't know the other people involved. I'm the person you know. So because I'm the person you know, that's the reason why I know you get a hold of me. I understand that. Because I got this one. Because there's a 9.5 second delay. They put on a translator 2 weeks ago. So then now they're trying to work through that issue. Okay, so. Okay. And I understand completely. I'm not the person that can straighten it out. I'm the person that can point it out to the people that should have the ability to straighten it out. So that's what I've done. I've taken all this stuff and I've relayed it to the people in charge that would know what to do and how to do it. I hope that answers as many questions as possible. Okay. We'll take a break. Hate Fest 2023 continues with Matt. Oh, no. You're upset about a lot of things. I know you are.
There's a couple more things from the weekend.
Yeah. I saw that video of your kids wasting water. So,
Normally, I would say the same thing, but that video was the lone exception.
Come on. They could take the hose and squirt it at each other. Come on. What the heck? There's nothing wrong with that. Come back with more in a moment. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Want to work for a stable yet growing company? Got it. Want to work for a family-owned business with over 100 years experience in taking care of customers and employees? Got it. Want to work for a leader in selling more cars and satisfying more customers? Got it. Who has all that? SMC Sunbury Motor Company is looking for technicians across all their departments. Whether you're an entry-level technician, an experienced technician, or someone looking for a career change, Sunbury Motors would love to hear from you. They're looking for technicians for their quick lane, car and light truck service, heavy truck service, body shop, and frame and alignment division. You can apply online at sunburymotors.com, in person at our North 4th Street location, or call Todd at 570-286-7746. Your new career of working on Fords, Kias, Hyundais, Western Star trucks, plus anything that fits in the door, and some things that don't. Join Sunbury Motors. Your new career is waiting for you.
Okay, great to have you with us. Some people, they go through Labor Day weekend, and it's a labor of love. Well, when it comes to this segment for Matt Contrillo, it's always a labor of hate. Go ahead.
Now, I'll start this by giving credit where credit's due. That was a big win for Colorado and Deion Sanders. But I will say TCU has become an embarrassment of themselves with that football program, to being embarrassed the way they were on the national championship game scale, and then losing this game to this lowly Colorado football program is an embarrassment in itself. But it's still a big win for Deion Sanders in terms of trying to move the program in that right direction. However, to start calling different players Heisman Trophy candidates when you've won one game against a team that is a fraudulent top 25 team, I'm sorry, that's a little out of line. How about you win more games first? How about we get to bowl eligibility level before you start calling on people saying that they're Heisman candidates? All right, Deion, you were starting to get me a little bit and cheering for you, and then you come out with these comments, and you've just lost me again. So just stay in your lane, keep winning games, and then you can talk.
No, I don't mind him promoting players because the Hunter kid played 105 plays in that game and was exceptional. He played corner and he played wide receiver. And I had a long talk before the game with LeVar Arrington about this, and we talked about how well Deion knows so many prospects out there because he was so involved in his son Shakur's level of preparation going through the various levels, and LeVar and Deion coached against each other of 8th grade prospects, and they did it for like 4 or 5 years in a row. And one year they brought the game to State College. And we talked about Hunter. And I said, it's so impressive that he played 105 plays offense and defense. And I said, to me, when I look at him, I said, he could play wide receiver in the NFL, no question. I said, but what's really impressive is he could play corner in the NFL. You can see he has all the skills as he's transitioned from Jackson State to Colorado. He has all the skills. And when you're talking about a guy that's breaking up pass plays or making interceptions at the goal line, then making big plays in the pass play, he's a guy that a lot of people across the country only know about because he was a 5-star guy that went to Jackson State. And then, of course, except for the Celebration Bowl, got completely lost in the thought conscious of the American spectator. I don't blame Deion for pushing him in that. Absolutely not. The only thing I said to LeVar is, I said, I'll tell you right now, LeVar, I said, my only question about him is, can he keep playing 100 to 105 plays a game? I said, into mid-October, and how does that then affect late October into November? And he said, well, C. Wood did it. And I said, yeah. I said, but, and we're talking about Charles Woodson. And I said, well, C. Wood did it. I said, he got used a lot on third down or in specialty situations on offense. And you notice with Gamble at Ohio State, the longer the season went, the more they were playing him on offense and less on defense. And he said, yeah, that's a good point. So that's the only part about Hunter I want to see. Because, he played 105 plays in that heat down in Texas, and he looked fresh at the end of the game. The question will be is, as time goes, does that wear on you? And do you then have to start wondering, we want to play him both ways, but we're going to play him 70 to 80 plays in a game instead of 105. But I don't blame Deion at all for propping up a really terrific player that's been around him a couple of years that the country really is just getting to know, and I have no problem with that at all. None. I mean, that's loyalty to your kids.
I just thought the Heisman drop was a little outrageous.
Why not? Who cares? Who do you think is a Heisman candidate? It's 1 week. Who's a Heisman candidate? Who? I mean, we all know Caleb Williams is the guy that won it last year, so he's going to get a lot of pub this year. But, I mean, you got 12 weeks to prove this. I mean, this is everything, like in the first month and a half, is all about awareness. And I have no problem with a coach giving awareness to one of their guys, like, hey, when time comes, think about this guy. I have no problem with that. None. It's okay. It's okay to boost your guys up. Yeah? What do you want him to do? Call him a disgrace?
No, everything else is fine. It's just, I think it's a little early to start calling people Heisman candidates. Even a guy like Caleb Williams. Let's let the season play out a little more.
Yeah, but now when your guy's unknown, you're trying to get people to know your guy a little bit, okay? And, this is his way of at least planting a seed for some people to see how this guy does play.
This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
What a joy and a sea of positivity to work with Matt. No? Okay. Don't worry, he'll have you all down in the dumps in a minute. Give him a chance.
Today's show brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, RV, boat, motorcycle, whatever it may be. It's always great to have the pros at Purdy Insurance having your back, and they'll save you money, too. Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. You've now given us one reason. Now here's the next thing that, again, you don't tolerate stupid, which is?
Brian Kelly, in this case.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
I mean, just once again, it just shows that this guy really doesn't get it. And he's as overrated as a coach as you can get. So, once again, after his team embarrasses themselves in that fourth quarter on the national stage, yet again, with Brian Kelly, a Brian Kelly coach team, he says, oh, yeah, I'll take the blame and all that, but we're not the team that I thought we were. Just like when he's called Notre Dame that everybody had to be executed when they got their butts handed to them by Clemson in the CFP a couple years ago. I'm sorry. Sometimes, as a coach, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and show that to your players before you continually throw them under the bus. Do the players ultimately have to be the ones that execute? Yes, I get that. But it's about time that this guy puts his ego aside, which is fraudulent to begin with, because this guy's not won anything as far as championships are concerned. He's won games, but he hasn't won championships or big games on the national stage at all. And look himself in the mirror and see who's the actual problem in this case. And maybe he sees a pattern here. Maybe it's a team that's not prepared enough. Maybe it's a team that's not being coached well enough for games like this. Because it's the same thing that happens with Brian Kelly every year on the national stage. His team gets embarrassed and exposed on the national stage. It happens every year with this guy. So, yes, he is a F-R-A-U-D. That spells fraud.
Not happy?
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
I mean, I was laughing just watching Florida State win the game the way they did in the fourth quarter. But there's that, too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look. Nice. All right, so let's start with this. Number one, let's give credit to Florida State. And to be honest with you, it was a game, the first half I thought was really entertaining. Both teams made a lot of big plays, and both teams made a lot of big mistakes. It's an opening game. But Florida State in the second half played brilliantly. And Travis played a really good game. And let's give credit where credit is due. I mean, to what Mike Norvell and his staff did. And I thought Jordan Travis played really well. Daniels played okay in the game. And again, they hurt themselves early by not, trying to go for it on fourth down. They got stopped. I mean, things like that. Where those are coaching decisions, right? Where I'm sitting like early, you want to take the points. I mean, it's, but he didn't do it. Yeah, so. And I know you don't like Brian Kelly. I got it. But you have to take it. Sometimes I think he says things, especially to the LSU fan base, where he's trying to play to the fan base. Like, look, just coach the team and coach the game. Guess what? You want to win over the fan base? Win. Simple as that. It was a great weekend for the Pac-12 For the first time since 1932, every Pac-12 team won their opening game. In fact, overall, from week 0 to week 2, the Pac-12 is currently 13-0. It was a tough weekend for the SEC. The aforementioned Florida State win against LSU, where Florida State just dominated the last quarter and a half of that game. I mean, just totally dominated. North Carolina beat South Carolina. And, of course, starting out, Utah winning at home against Florida and doing that impressively, where it turned out that all 3 games, in the end, you felt like the team that lost ended up not being competitive. So that's not great for the SEC. As for the ACC, it's the Duke-Clemson game is a conference game. And let's give Duke credit. Clemson drove the ball up and down the field, but every time they got with a chance to do something, they made the big mistakes. Fumbles, interceptions, crazy. You're not a big Brian Kelly fan?
No good! No good! No good!
No. But did you enjoy watching the game?
I did. You're right. The first half was very entertaining. Yes.
The first half, there were big plays and big mistakes. And something else that was a common thread throughout the weekend was the tackling was about what I thought it would be. You've now watched 2 weekends of high school football, Matt, plus they've also had a preseason scrimmage. I'll bet the tackling you saw in all likelihood, I'm going to guess, was way better on Friday night than it was on opening week or in any of the scrimmages.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
And you'll see this in the NFL this weekend. The tackling is going to be because of the lack of hitting in the preseason with the rules. Well, a lot of things are like this. Now, that's what the last 2 years, and I made the point on the show in each of the last 2 years after the opening game in 21 and 22 that how impressed I was. Hey, look, Penn State tackled really well in the opening game the last 2 years. I didn't feel like they tackled well enough on Saturday night. So, the positives are all there. Drew Allar, I thought, had an outstanding performance. I don't think that takes a genius to say that. That's the way he's practiced. There was really not much difference between how he's practiced and how he played the game. He really operates really well in that 3 to 5 foot area in the pocket. He can step up, and when he decides to take off, and again, he's not going to sit there and you're going to put a stopwatch on him and go, whoa, look how fast he runs. No, but when you're watching him play the game, and this is something we pointed out last year, he's quicker than people realize he is. Not blazing speed, but he's quicker than people realize he is, especially when he's in a straight line. Running game is the running game. Singleton and Allen are just, Singleton was 5.5 a carry. Allen was 5.1, and that either one of them can break it at any time. That's fine. Offensive line, for the most part, blocked well. For the most part, not perfect, but protected well. Drew was only sacked once. The snaps have got to be better. Too many times that Drew had to kind of reel one in to start the play. So the snaps had to be consistently better up front. The wide receivers performed very well. Lambert Smith, Wallace, McLean, Clifford, Dante Cephas had a catch as well. Blocking of the tight ends really good. And a lot of people have asked about, well, what about the usage of the tight ends in the passing game? It all depends on what they're giving you. It's all about what they give you. Well, if you're watching the game, they're playing a lot of cover zero. Penn State is beating their man-to-man coverage with their wideouts, so you go to the wideouts. There are going to be games where they're going to clamp down on the wideouts, and you're going to say, okay, where do we go now? Well, let's go to the tight ends. It all is what they give you. Only one penalty against Penn State in the game. It was a false start on special teams. That was it. No turnovers by the Penn State offense. No turnovers by the Penn State offense. Defensively, I go to what's an important stat to me. That is, I keep it on my chart. It's called stop rate. 11 possessions for West Virginia in the game. Penn State stopped 9 of them without points. So they only scored on 2 of the 11 possessions. Okay? And one of them was against the second-team defense. But the standard is the standard. That second-team defense still should have gone out there and stopped them, right? But, they gave up the touchdown, the 2-point conversion. But the stop rate, okay, 2 out of 11. The number of sacks, all right. They sacked 4 times, but none by Chop Robinson or denied Dennis Sutton. I will quickly point out that West Virginia did a good job of keeping in the extra tight end and chipping the defensive ends. And Green did a great job of getting outside containment. So that chip in combination with Green's movement, I think, prevented some of the stuff we're talking about. They ran the ball well up the middle with Donaldson, but in the end, they only averaged 3.7 yards a carry. But Donaldson's 238, and he's a good running back. Jacobs played a really good game. 4th time in his career with 10 tackles or better, had a sack, and played really well. Jacobs just a good football player. Secondary was fine. No issue there. They had the one breakdown on the Carter catch. It was a corner blitz, and somebody didn't rotate into a spot. That's the only time they got behind the Penn State defense. Plus, let's face it, the tight end, he's 6'7". They threw the ball to him a couple of times. Just threw it up, and he's just at 6'7", is just bigger than everybody else. I mean, that's an important, quote, offensive weapon to have in a game like that. Didn't get a takeaway. All right, so, okay. Special teams-wise, Gabe Wosu, great job, 6 for 6 touchbacks. They were all set and handled the onside kick really well. I'm going to give you one of the unsung plays of the game. Right? And this is something we pointed out in the broadcast on Saturday night and is unsung. Yeah, Penn State had the one kick return for 19, okay. But Caden Saunders, there are 2 key elements to being a punt returner. One is catching the ball. Okay, sounds obvious and easy. Okay, and number 2 is you have to have great judgment. Okay, it's catching the ball and you have to have great judgment. So there was a punt that in the press box went right to left by Oliver Straw. Saunders set up on the 31-yard line in the near hash. The punt was short and into traffic. And Saunders called for a fair catch, sprinted up, and made the fair catch in traffic. He did a couple of things there. Number 1, he prevented the possibility of that typical 20 to 25-yard roll. And he also prevented the ball from maybe bouncing and maybe hitting a Penn State player. It was that kind of judgment and then catching the ball like he did that really was one of those under-the-radar, unsung things that you can only see in a game. He did it, and I'm more impressed by the judgment he showed on that play and how he executed it. And we made a big deal out of it because it then set up a 56-yard drive for a touchdown. The kicking part is obvious. Okay, Sander and Alex Felkins. Sander just missed, but he did hook 2 shots from inside of 40 and missed. So they went to Felkins, who hit the 25-yard field goal. You have to get that straightened out. You have to have reliability that when you get the ball to the 30-yard line, you're going to get points out of it. And that's really important. And everybody knows it. And Riley Thompson only had the 2 punts. One was really good. The other one went out of bounds. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Let me give you something on Drew Allar. 2 plays that tell you everything about where he is in his development. It was back-to-back plays. It was actually on the drive I mentioned just previously a few moments ago. This is after the fair catch by Saunders. He threw a dart on an out to Trey Wallace at the 12-yard line. I mean, on an absolute line, perfect timing, boom, right there. Hard to defend. Okay? First down at the 12. Very next play, touch pass back of the end zone to Keandre Lambert-Smith for a touchdown. 2 completely different throws, and both perfectly executed. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the game that stood out. See, you want to be able to coach from a position of strength. You want to be able to go over your corrections off a win. So important. You want to go over your corrections off a win. And James Franklin had things and elements to correct. And they went through the corrections on Sunday, and then they go back to work and practice today. Unless you have a question or comment about it, please don't hesitate to ask. We're more than happy to talk about it with you. Those are the ones off the top of my head I came up with from the game on Saturday. All right, take a break. Today's show brought to you by Purdy Insurance on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Yeah, I'm glad you ran that promo there, not because of, the broadcast and so forth. Eagle 107 is a phenomenal signal to be on. But I would like to point out that the crowd, that's the part, and I apologize for this. The crowd was unbelievable on Saturday night. Number one, it's Labor Day weekend. And obviously I've been around a lot of Labor Day weekend football. And usually on a Labor Day weekend, whether Penn State's playing a road game or a home game, they're empty seats. Well, there wasn't a single empty seat. People were shoehorned in. And we were done with the pregame show, which was a total adventure, by the way. And I'll explain why in a second. I laughed about it, but there were a couple other people who didn't laugh about it. Okay. When we were done with the pregame show, which is on that stage outside the tunnel, we then walk in. And then we go through the tunnel area, and then eventually we make a left, and then we start working our way toward the press box to get up into the broadcast booth. And I know NBC had sent a note they wanted Jack and me to go up to their booth to see them first, so we had to go up there first because they wanted to talk to us about something. And so we're going into the tunnel. And sometimes like a certain game, whatever, taking a while to get in the stadium and so forth. No. And I looked out through the tunnel, and I see the north end zone in this sea of white, like wall to wall. And I said to Jack, I said, stop for 1 second. I said, check this out. And the two of us just kind of looked at it for like 10 seconds, like, wow, what a sight. Imagine what it must be like for a player and a coach to run through that tunnel and see that. I mean, it was like one of those wow moments. And then we went up to the booth. And then the crowd during the game was engaged and loud and crazy and everything that goes with it. And people were in the parking lots and just having a great time. And having, as you know, what do I always say? It's okay to have fun. Hey, you know what? You know what people should understand? You know what one of the missions in life should be? I mean, simple. Sometimes it's not possible with things that happen. But one of the missions in life should be to be happy. Be happy. Well, guess what? I'm going through the parking lot. You know what I saw everywhere? People were happy. They're playing cornhole. They're enjoying beverages. They're having food. They're laughing. They're kidding around. They're going into the game. They're just wild, raucous, having a great time. Singing songs, cheering, yelling, screaming, getting mad at the officials, whatever. But they were happy. And that should always be one of our missions in life. Instead of everything can't be, oh my God, this is the biggest tragedy ever. Oh, please, guess what? We all want to be happy. Have fun. Okay. I'm all in the fun parade here. Now, the pregame show, they had put this ramp up the back, in which that's how they, the kickoff kid who was a Four Diamonds child is always the one that does it. And this time it was Cheyenne. So Jack and I always meet with the family. And always. And then we get pictures with them and so forth. They always bring them by. And this family was marvelous. I mean, great family. And she was tremendous. Loved it. Well, I guess they kept the ramp up there, and all these people kept coming up on stage. Like, okay, because they, and so, like in a break, like they wanted pictures. So like, okay, all right. So they finally took the ramp down. Okay. So they took the ramp down. So I'm just sitting there, and Brian's on my right, and Jack's on my left. And all of a sudden, I see this young person fly by and leap into the street. Like, oh, God, that was kind of wild. Then it happened 3 other times. I don't know how they got up on the stage. But I thought, wow. And Jack said, man, if that were me, I'd have pulled a hamstring. I said, yeah, well, they said, if that were me, I'd be having facial surgery right now. I'd have face planted myself. It was wild. I think they may have had a couple of refreshing cold beverages, just to guess. But it was part of their fun.
Your home for news, AccuWeather, and sports. Celebrating 90 years of serving the Susquehanna Valley. We are WKOK Sunbury.